Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to a brand new F1 2020 video. This is PSGL round 5 round Spa. Just gonna head out for my first run in qualifying 1. There's rain coming at the end of this qualifying, so I decided to go a little bit earlier out onto the track instead of going out in the final 8 minutes. I decided to go out with 13 minutes to go. As well, I want to set a lap in before the rain hits, of course. So yeah, we designed Spa and make it look like a gun. That's true. It does like a gun, indeed. But yeah, this is only my second race in PSGL, as it's clashing with Formula E on a Thursday night. So Formula E is on a break now for 3 or 4 weeks because of the real life Formula E starting soon. So yeah, I managed to participate now in PSGL for I think this race, and the next race is in I think next week around Zandvoort. I'm not exactly sure next week or the week after. I think the week after, to be honest. But yeah, just looking to get a somewhat safe lap in here in Q1, as I'm about to finish my first push lap in qualifying 1. It will be my only one, as by the time I get back to the pits it will start raining. So coming across the line, it's going to be a 1:40.551, which is enough for P1.
That's faster, so.
Yep, good job, Plus. Good stuff.
What is the P10 lap time?
P10 lap is only 9 people set lap. Tino's a second off at 9th. But then in 8th there's 4 temps.
So yeah, it seems like we are
almost 2 temps to everyone else, so
quite safe through. As me and Barbie are 2 tenths ahead of P3, which is Simon Weigang. So yeah, felt like quite a scruffy lap.
Didn't expect. I thought it was gonna be like a 0.7.
yeah, it looked like pretty easy for you.
Felt like quite a scruffy lap. Of course, I'm still not as comfortable with my current wheel and pedals
again.
as I was on the Seals Elite, as I drove on the Seals Elite for 3 years. And now this wheel and pedals I've only been using for 1.5 to 2 weeks. So I'm not going to be setting literally insane lap times, I feel like, yet. But using a direct drive wheel and Heusinkveld pedals are just simply more precise. So I think it's just a matter of time until I will improve myself compared to the CSL Elite days, which we had to use in F1 Esports, of course. So yeah, as you can see there, P1 in qualifying 1. Quite scruffy lap, but qualifying 2 will be raining anyway. So as you can see, it was already raining quite hard. As you can see, Nolan, Lambert, Fabrizio Donoso, Joshua, Andy and Julian were out in Q1. So yeah, let's head into Q2 now. So now going towards the final sector of my first push lap. On the inters, as you can see, it's quite wet around here. Shanika Glay goes onto provisional P1. As you can see, rear end stepping out a little bit through blind shimmer. 52.2 from Shanika at the moment. I go a little bit deep into the last chicane, which cost me probably a little bit of time. But yeah, coming across the line now, it's going to be a 1:51.6, which is pole by 6.5 tenths at the time. So even with missing that last bus stop chicane, we do go into P1. I'm gonna push for another lap right here, as usually the track evolution is quite a lot in the wet. So I'm gonna keep on pushing. Also need to get used to the wet a little bit, as I didn't do wet practice. For league racing in general, I usually don't really do wet practice. So yeah, going into the second sector now, 300 up on my previous lap. Going back to 4th gear here, short shifting to 50, you can see the rear stepping out slightly through there. But as George, if I say that right, gets out of the way, going into the downhill right, which is always hard to get right around here, especially in the wet, of course. So yeah, going towards pool now, gonna keep it in 7th gear like usual. I went down to 6th, I feel like you can keep in the 7th, short shift back to 7th again, as Nicolas Matteo goes now into P2. So yeah, I felt like tires might be dropping off slightly towards the end of the second push lap, but you can see now 2 tenths up and there's still more time in the last bus stop chicane. So this is going to be a very good lap. I feel like you can see rear stepping out as the rear is dropping off. As I said before, 2 push laps in a row is a little bit much, I feel like, but especially for the first run, you really need it, as you need to get used to the track in wet conditions. So now going into the bus stop again, going slightly deep. I feel like a little bit better than last time around, as we did gain, I think so. Coming across the line, it's going to be a 151.392.
Okay, but 2 quite huge mistakes in that.
Yeah, no, awesome job. Awesome.
Actually, I have the fuel anyway. I'll keep pushing the rest of the lap.
Yeah.
So yeah, as you can hear me say, there are 2 quite big mistakes on that lap. So definitely a lot more in there. Track is evolving as well, as Barry went to P1 with a 51.323. And you can see now I'm half a second up on my lap. Going into the bus stop, again, not completely nailing it. It's better again than last time around, as I do gain quite a bit of time. Coming across the line, it's going to be a 150.7, so provisional P1 by 6/10. I did went for 2 laps again, as in case it was going to be wet. I felt like I just need to get more laps in the wet for Q3. As we don't really need to go P1 in Q2, it's just about learning the track in the wet right now, as I should be comfortably going through into Q3. So I'm gonna take you guys around this lap. So now heading into sector 2, braking at around 75 meters down to 4th gear, then keeping the 4th. You can short shift to 5th, but I kept it in 4th this time around. Short shift to 5th, then through that right hander, and up to 6th. I keep it in 6th here and go down to 3rd, actually to 2nd for a little bit extra rotation there, and then short shifting to 4th to minimize wheel spin on the exit here, keeping it in 4th through here and short shifting to 5th to minimize wheel spin again. So you can see 100 up through going into Puhon down to 6th gear. I go a little bit deep, too much entry speed right there, which forced a little bit of understeer, I feel like. Going up to 8th for the chicane and down to 4th. You can take the inside curb there, but it's really tricky. Up to 5th, keep it in 5th here, don't short shift to 6th, and then just before there go up to 6th and down to 4th again. And then this one is so tricky, you can't take it flat, so you need to lift rather earlier than later.
Off on the second push lap.
Yeah, as you can hear me say there, tires were really dropping off on the second push lap. I was
I'll
driving
finish it though.
slightly better than the lap before, but the rears were just not there. And then going into the final chicane, down to 2nd gear, I do get it right this time around. And then putting on the throttle out of the chicane, it's quite clean. See, I gained half a tenth through the last chicane.
I lost half a tenth on traction.
So yeah, as you can hear me say there,
For the
tires were dropping off, but that would have been good info for Q3
anyway.
if it was wet. Yeah. But it ended up being dry, as you can see. I'm about to finish my first push lap here, going into the final bus stop chicane, using a little bit of outside curb right there. I felt like that really helped me. And then going through the final chicane onto the line, it's provisional pole with a 140.103 as a banker.
What a beast. Awesome job.
Quite decent lap, not gonna lie, that would have been almost pole in F1 Esports, I think so. But I think that was a 140.05. Obviously different conditions, and we're much later into the game, so can't really compare that. But let's head into the final qualifying lap now. So I'm just gonna prepare. You can see there's only 15 seconds left, so I'm one of the last to start my lap. Absolute minimum fuel I can get. Coming across the line, you need to prepare the exit as good as possible to take more speed into your flying lap. Then braking at around 100 meters down to 2nd gear, short shift to 3rd. You can see straight away 300s up. Exit was not as good, so I'm gonna be dropping a little bit of speed down to a Rouge and Radeon. So you just need to be super smooth through here with the steering lock. You can see I gained like 1,000 by taking a little bit smoother than the lap before, so that's good. Heading into sector 2 now, braking at around 60 meters down to 4th gear, short shift to 5th here, and then short shift to 6th again here to keep the car stable. You can see the rear end wants to step out, 110 up, and then going to the downhill right, I go too wide, costing me way too much minimum speed. You can see I dropped almost a 10 there to my banker lap. And now you can see I did gain 300 to there, so that's good. Heading into pool now. I turn in too early, have to lift too much, and I didn't lose time to the delta,
It's not good enough.
but maybe 200s actually. But don't forget the track is improving, so I was simply losing time there. Heading through here, keeping in assist down to 4th gear, short shift to 5th. Really on the limit there on the exit. You can see I'm 1.3 tons down to Barry, so really need to make time up
Too many mistakes so far.
in the final sector, and 1.3 tons with really only 2 corners to go doesn't seem very likely to get me pole. 39.8 is pole position right now, heading into the final bus stop down to 2nd gear. You can see I go a little bit deep, but I keep the minimum speed up, and it's gonna be a 139.974, 1/10 of pole, which is okay considering all the mistakes I made.
Good effort.
So yeah, 1/10 of pole in Q3, especially the downhill right. I lost like a 10th alone. Just a lot of scruffy little mistakes. But yeah, it's fine. P2 around Spa is really good. You get the slipstream on Camel Straight. So yeah, it doesn't really matter that much around here if you got pole or not. But yeah, just not really happy with my lap in general right there. But let's make up for it in the race. So as we're lining up on the grid now, you can see I'm on the medium compound tires as Q2 was wet. So we can choose what tire we start on. You can see Barry is on the softs.
There's
And
only 2 people in the field starting on soft, so
Yep, copy.
so as you can hear, it's just Shanika, Clay and Barry Bormand on the soft compound. So strategy will be medium to soft or soft to medium. So I decided to start on the mediums, as usually I feel a lot more comfortable with that. So yeah, let's head into the race now. 5 red lights. And away we go. It's a quite initially decent start, but then Barry, I would say, actually got an equal start on those softs, so we did really well. I got deep into turn 1 to get a better exit out of Las Torres, and then gonna use all my overtake on the straight, as I don't want to lose any track position, of course. And basically the ideal thing will be if I get ahead of Barry going into sector 2, because that would literally ruin his plan to stay or basically pull away on those softs. So going into sector 2, I try and go around the outside.
Okay, you pushed me off straight away. Nice.
I didn't manage to, of course, as I have way less grip on those mediums. So yeah, that was really not something that was going to work on those mediums. Just way less grip isn't going to work. So now I just need to keep track position in P2, play together with Philip to lose as little time as possible. As you can see, VSC comes out.
wasted a lot of engineering.
So yeah, VSC coming out straight away, which is just good for us, as
That's good. He's just wasting his soft tires now.
exactly, as you can hear me say there. He's wasting his soft tires, which is just good for us. So that is just slightly helping us in this race. As virtual safety car is ending now, you can see. I tried to keep it around half second and then it dropped a little bit. But you can see there.
Drive through for Barry.
Drive through for Barry.
Yep.
As he was speeding under VSC. You can see he pulled 4 to 5 tenths on me just under VSC. So you probably got like 3 tenths under it,
Like
more or less.
6 cents ahead, suddenly.
Yeah, as you can hear me say, each suddenly gained 6 tenths. So Barry is more or less out of this contention for the win already. As now it's just gonna be between me and Philip, I feel like. So yeah, we don't really need to focus on Barry anymore, as if you have to do a drive through, you're gonna lose like 10 seconds more or less, depending on the track, of course, and how long the pit lane is. But yeah, now it's gonna be between me and Philip. The race is not really gonna be decided at this point. It's more gonna be decided later on in the race on the soft stint. So yeah, just need to save tires really.
Understeer on these mediums.
As you can hear me complain about understeer, which is okay because usually the rear tires drop off faster around Spa than the fronts. So that's not really an issue, that's just good. It means it will balance out throughout the stint. And Barry's still pulling away, not really much we can do as we're on a slower compound of tires.
Push out of Pragenators DRS.
As you can hear me say, I'm trying to push out of Pragenators.
Yeah, I did it.
I'm trying to push out of the DRS from Pragenator because I thought after the VSC it was going to last another 3 or was gonna take another 3 laps, but apparently it wasn't. As you see, I go deep into the final bus stop chicane. As Barry takes us, drive through. I lost like 2 to 3 tenths, making the mistake in the chicane. But I didn't realize DRS was gonna get enabled already.
Enabled anyway.
Yeah, didn't realize that. So
Work trying to push out. It's gonna be too hard.
I know.
now it's gonna be way too hard to get out of DRS. So kind of gave up on that. Now I just need to maintain decent track position, pace, fuel, tires, and ERS, of course. So that's what I'm gonna try and do in the coming few laps. So now moving on to the start of lap 9. I felt like I used quite a lot of fuel to stay ahead of Philip, as there are 2 DRS zones, of course. One really long one, which Camel straight, and one on the start-finish straight, of course. So I felt like I couldn't really stay any longer ahead of Philip without burning more ERS and fuel. So I decided to let him go here, and then basically we can maintain better pace, both me and Philip, to try and maybe pull away a little bit from P3, 4, 5. So now I'm gonna recharge my ERS for when we get into the pit stop phase and go into the softs, which is when we really have to start get pushing, as that's basically where my end result will take place. This medium stint is not really that important. I just need to stay in P1, P2, P3 and try to set myself up nicely for the pit stops. So now we're in lap 11.
Louise, it's quite low. It's about around 30%. Can't see Operation at the moment. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
So now lap 11, you can see I'm on 75% ERS, which is really good. Maintained fuel with to plus 1.6 laps, which is the same as when I let Philip go. You can see I'm not really close behind him, as I will gain the time back on the main straight and on Camel straight as well. But then you can see VSC comes out, and I'm trying to stay under the delta, and I get hit from behind.
Why? He's hitting me. 5 seconds? No, that will be... No, I will get it in the pits. Oh no, luckily not.
No, you'll be fine. You'll get that removed after.
Go! This game is so shit, man. And I'm being held for 5 or I didn't get penalized, but I just got held for 5 seconds.
Yep.
What a joke,
So
man.
good, still got this. Got more ERS than anyone. So.
Plaginator's 5 seconds ahead. This game is a joke, man. Let this fucking license for 10 years.
So yeah, I was half a second behind Praginator going into the pits, and then I came out and he was 5 seconds ahead, which is, even now when I am not driving and not under high emotions, I would say, it's just a complete joke, as Philip literally got released by the game into the traffic, and he ghosted. If you can go and watch back, he ghosted and literally got released just in the middle of a group of cars. And meanwhile, I could get released after the McLaren, if I remember correctly, and I didn't. There was big enough of a gap, and I didn't get released. And then the second Ferrari came, I could have got released after that, and the game didn't let me. So I understand I got held kind of by the game because cars were coming. But then when there was a gap, the game didn't release me, and when there were cars for Philip, the game just decided to ghost him and let him go, which is in competitive racing just an absolute joke, of course. As if you get this in F1 esports, which luckily they did ghost the cars for in the pits, as otherwise it would be super unfair, of course. But
penalty will be removed. Unless obviously you have to pit again, so you're fine.
So yeah, the penalty I kind of understand it will get removed, of course, unless I will observe
but
it
I
in the
didn't get the
pits.
5 seconds back that I got in the held in the pits by this shit game.
So yeah, in league racing, Codemasters should just simply make an option to get you or give you ghosting in league racing, as it's just not fair with how the system is at the moment. Because, well, I've lost now 5 seconds, and to be honest, in 10 laps I'm not gonna make up 5 seconds. Like in such high profile league racing, that's just way too much to make up, because I will have to gain on average 5 tenths per lap to make up that 5 seconds. And well, I'm not gonna be 5 tenths per lap faster on race pace. That's, let alone quali pace. Race pace is even harder to make that up, as well, you're limited by tires, fuel and ERS of course. So maximum that's in there right now, unless Philip gets a penalty, time penalty for track limits or corner cutting, I'm not going to be able to get that P1 back. So right now my aim is just to get P2, and to see from there basically. I'm going to be pushing to get within that 3 seconds of Philip, as I think that's really our only chance at the moment, unless another safety car comes out. But then we will have to serve the 5-second penalty, of course. So yeah, would also be nice to have a future where the stop and goes would get removed, and it will just simply be a time penalty, like a corner cut penalty. But well, let's first.
One warning, so he's pushing.
As you can hear, Philip has 1 warning. But well, let's first get this pit lane sorted, as it's a bit of a joke at the moment. So we now move on to the end of lap 18. You can see I've caught up to Lucas UK, and I've almost 100% ERS, more than enough fuel. You can see plus 1.2 laps of fuel, so we're completely fine with that. Heading into turn 1, only 4 tenths behind, so this is going to be quite an easy pass. Going to use some of my overtake right here to get close, get more slipstream, and then open my DRS, and then this is going to be an easy pass, as if Lucas would use his overtake right here, he won't have anything left for the final 2 laps, so he's not going to fight it now. You can see we have gained 1.5 seconds to Philip in the past few laps, which is quite a lot, and I'm going to be pushing to get within that 3 seconds. That's my goal. I don't think fastest lap is really possible anymore on those tires, as well they've been on here for around 7 to 8 laps now, so tire wear is around 7%, per lap, so we also are going to be in a risk of a puncture in the end. So really need to plan it perfectly and try to get over the finish on 80% tires. So yeah, you can see we've gained a little bit to Philip in this middle sector. You can see I'm struggling a little bit with the back end. As I said before, rear tires are dropping off slightly faster around this track than the fronts. It's just quite natural. So I'm gonna keep pushing here. Gonna use some of my overtake in the next few laps and hope Philip will get a penalty, as that is pretty much our only hope at this point, unless he makes a big mistake or spins. Yeah, 3 second penalty is what we hope for at this point, but someone with the experience of Philip probably is not going to get a penalty, but one can hope, of course, and I'm going to use all of my fuel and ERS to try and get within the 3 seconds. So now moving on to the final lap of the race, you can see we're still pushing extremely hard to try and get within that 3 seconds, just in case he gets a penalty. We still have 50% ERS, and I'm going to use all of it on this last lap. Still have too much fuel left as well, but yeah, even if I would run rich the whole lap, which is not really beneficial, as the engine will overheat and we will lose time by that. So yeah, 3.3 seconds now. I'm gonna push to get into that 3 second window, but the rear tires are completely gone as well. I think they're 74 to 75% now. So by the time we get to the finish, they will be slightly over 80%, which is really risky. You can see the back end stepping out again there, really pushing it on this final lap to try and hope Philip gets a penalty, and then we also need to hope we get within the 3 seconds, of course. So now going to pool on, you'll probably see rear is going to be very edgy there, as I have to counter steer on the exit there, the slide. 78% tire wear now, so we are going to be in puncture territory, but at this point I didn't really care, as I just want to push for the win. We're probably not really fighting for the championship in PSGL, as I'm missing too much races because of Formula E. Formula E obviously being quite a bit more important. As you can see now, 80% on the rear left, so the tires can go at any moment. As you could see from my last video, some people were getting punctures instantly at 80%, some people were getting not even a puncture at 98%. So now heading into the final best stop chicane, 2.9 seconds, but Philip is not gonna get a penalty, and we're gonna come across the line in P2.
Fucking bullshit.
Nothing you could have done in the pits. You caught almost close
I
to
know,
3 seconds in that final stint, so this makes a good case for esports and stuff in the future, so nothing you could have done.
As you can hear me not being very happy there as JD is trying to calm me down. Yeah, getting held for 5 seconds in the pits was not ideal. Wasn't in my run plan. And there's also not really anything you can prepare to avoid this. So yeah, as you can hear me say. Not ideal, but yeah, this doesn't also really happen in real life. Of course, the gaps are bigger because there's more dirty air. But the races in league racing as well are just much shorter, so the gaps are always going to be smaller. So I just hope Codemasters is going to do something about this, because, well, it's just unfair. It's also not always just a Mercedes. It can also be a Williams. If the Williams is just behind the Mercedes going into the pits, then it might get held for really long by the Mercedes going down the pit lane. So yeah, they just really need to do something about it, and I hope they do it ASAP. But yeah, shouldn't probably get my hopes up too much. So yeah, P2 it is, which actually puts me in P3 in the championship, behind Philip and Barry, who are leading, or Barry's leading, Philip is in P2. So yeah, actually quite good, I think so. Finished second now twice in PSGL. Not ideal, of course, but yeah. I'll be back to tomorrow evening with a new video. I'll be uploading my new upload schedule soon to my Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube community post. So make sure to check that out, and hope you guys enjoy this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more, and see you guys next time. Ciao.